welcome to Sign High. I'm Alana Best.
Kia ora, my name is Mita Moses. I have 4 children. This program is about deaf parents like me.
90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents, and in reverse, 90% of hearing children are born to deaf parents. Those interesting ratios are why it's important for us to talk about parenting.
Finding out a child has hearing loss is quite a shock, and most parents have no idea of what to do.
Some deaf children will have to learn about their deaf culture from outside of their families, as their parents can't teach them. Next, we have Catherine, a deaf woman, and her story. How old was Magnus when he produced his first sign?
Well, that's really difficult to answer, actually, because when he was a baby, he was waving his hands around naturally. And now that I look back, I know that about 8 or 9 months, he was producing a sign, but we didn't realise that at the time. At 18 months, oh yes, he's babbling away. But now that I look back, I realise there were some signs that he was producing at about 8 or 9 months old.
What was his first sign?
Light was, I think his very first sign was light. The other was fish, because at Play Centre where we go, there's a fish tank and he's always been very keen on them. So those 2 signs, light and fish, were his first.
How many words does he use at the moment?
We've got a couple of lists, but I think it was just a few weeks ago that we did that. And I would say that he's got about 40 words, and perhaps in the last couple of weeks he's got a lot more than that. He's also compounding 2-word sentence now. In the past he would just say cat without the question words, but now he's saying, where's the cat? I would say he's got about 40 to 50 words in his vocabulary at the moment.
Is he often pointing at things?
At the moment, he's really keen on cars. He's always talking about his toy cars, or if he sees a car on the street, he's always getting my attention and pointing me in the right direction. The other thing he's talking about a lot is milk, also food. And generally, if he sees something, he will tap me on the shoulder and say, look at that dog. But he's not really talking about any one thing. It mostly depends on what it is that he can see. He'll reference that. So he points to the object. It's really interesting to see in a book. He will point at something and then say, what's that? So he doesn't necessarily know the sign, so he's looking for that feeding of that information. And it's great, a first step for him to be able to ask, what is this? Because he's asking us what the sign is, and that's pretty cool.
How do you know if he's asleep or woken up, or if he's crying?
When he was a very small baby, we had a deaf alarm. It's called a Bellman. It's something that a lot of deaf people out there have that links the doorbell and a fire alarm to the same unit, and we have the baby alarm with that. We had the unit placed next to his bed, and when he cried, the attachment on my belt would vibrate or a flashing light would be there. Most of the time it was working quite well, but I think he probably would start to cry as soon as he realised that no one would come in. So we actually went and bought a video monitor that we could see him through. And that way we knew that if he was awake, then we could go and pick him up if he needed.
As deaf parents, what was it like going to Play Centre?
At Play Centre, it's mostly me and Magnus because Daniel's at work. And the first time we went into the Play Centre, it was really great. Everyone was very welcoming, very warm, and they involved us. They would ask us what the signs were for this and that. And for Sign Language Week, they went ahead and, without my knowing about it, organised for a taster class. So that's really positive to see that they are keen to have the sign language in the Play Centre, because it's not only of benefit to us, but also to the children who can't speak for themselves yet.
What are some of the big challenges as deaf parents?
As deaf parents, I would say that there have been some situations where we've been told that we are not funded to have interpreters at certain times. La Leash League is a group that supports breastfeeding mothers, and the first time I asked if I could go to that particular group, I was told there was no funding for that. But it's really important for any woman who has breastfeeding issues. For Plunket, who I was redirected to, they're not exactly, well, I wanted the same thing as other hearing mothers who have the same choice of accessing all sorts of different services. I wanted that same choice. And so after advocating for some time, then the funding was allocated for that. So I know that I can have interpreters at La Leash League. I go once a month. I can advise other mothers who are having issues that I've already resolved, so we can share our experiences. And as mothers, that's really important because we all want the best for our children. So for myself, I feel that it's more equal. I don't feel disadvantaged at all because I have the access, and I can possibly help out someone who has an issue that I've already resolved, as I said. So having to advocate for that interpreter access is something that I shouldn't really have to do, but I end up doing it. In the past, at Play Centre, I was told that there was no funding for interpreters at an early education centre in this case. But after some discussion, they accepted that I could have an interpreter there. And so once a month we get together for that face-to-face time. It's a parents-run organisation, so we need to have the discussion about what the children are going to be doing in terms of activity. And so once a month I go along and have a more comprehensive chat with everyone with an interpreter there.
Thank you so much for your time and letting us interview you today, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Northland has a very important parent support network for those with deaf children. It's called Northland Parents of Deaf Children. Now we'll talk to the Secretary and Treasurer, Leah. Hi, meet Leah. She is the mother of a deaf daughter, and she was the person who set up the support group Northland Parents of Deaf Children. Today, I will ask her some questions. Northland Parents of Deaf Children, what do they do?
Well, we help parents in Whānau who have got a child with a hearing loss or is deaf. So we're happy just to be someone to talk to, or we will advocate for the child, especially around schooling and helping where principals are not really doing what they should be doing. So we're very happy to advocate. Over the years we've been part of the group that run kit days, so the Teachers of the Deaf and Northland Parents started running these kit days many years ago. We also look for funding to buy sign language dictionaries like these ones here, and we give these out free to the families. We also look for funding for other things, and We've done sign classes around Northland, and we will teach sign language to families.
Your daughter was born deaf. When you found out, how did you feel?
Well, when we found out our daughter was deaf, we immediately tried to find out some information. There was very little out there, and it was very old information. So we looked for other parents. We found meeting other parents and talking to them was extremely valuable. It was around that time we decided that we needed to have a group here in Northland, so we got together and became a new group, Northland Parents of Deaf Children, and became an official charity. So we've been running for, I don't know, maybe 26 years in Northland.
You have an oral history project that we can all access to watch. Tell us more about that.
Well, a few years ago we thought that there's still not very much information for parents to access about what it's like to have a deaf child, and many things we can do for and help our own children. So we decided to apply to an oral history funding, and we got that funding. So we made a project of 2 families and 2 daughters talking about their experience of growing up with those children, and those children were very successful in the education system, and both girls, although profoundly deaf and signers, actually got degrees in university degrees. So we wanted to show other parents what they could do, and you know, also for professionals. There's a lot of people out there who are in the profession advising about deaf children who actually don't have access to this information. So we made this project, and we're very proud of this project, and we have taken it overseas, and we did a presentation at the International Congress for Deaf, and it was very much appreciated, and we got a lot of good feedback from it. So this is available for parents all over Northland and all over New Zealand actually. If they want to have a look at this video, they can just access it through the National Library in Wellington, Turnbull Library, and it's there online for people to be able to view.
Thank you for your time and having us interview you.
Now it's your opportunity to learn signs about whānau.
Family. Mother. Father. Mum. Dad. Sister. Brother. Nana. Grandma. Papa. Auntie. Uncle. Cousin. Baby. Step. Half. Partner. Girlfriend. Boyfriend. My mother's name is Jill. You will meet her soon. My mother and father, they're separated. I have 1 sister and 2 brothers. My cousin is deaf, so she had an interpreter at her 21st birthday. I'm staying with my auntie and uncle this weekend. My girlfriend, she's pregnant. I'm so happy. I'm hoping for a baby boy. My grandmother is very old, so she doesn't drive anymore. I have a huge family, lots and lots of cousins. Welcome back. Now we have Mitta's wife, Kathy. We're going to ask how she manages with 4 daughters.
At the start, when our baby was first born and growing up, I used to get a bit stuck, because when baby was in the bedroom, I couldn't hear any crying if I was in the kitchen, so I had to walk back and forth to actually see if baby was crying or not. So one day I, with baby, went to Deaf Aotearoa to see if I could get a baby monitor with a flashing light. How that worked is when baby cried, the light on it would flash and let me know. So I was given this baby monitor, we set it up, and it worked really well because the light would alert me to baby crying, and it was also great for if someone knocked at the door, because the light would flash and then I knew that someone was there. If I was cooking in the kitchen when baby, Karina, was little, then baby would bang her feet and I would look around and know that she was after something to drink, a bottle, or if baby was hungry. And that's when the basic signs started. Also, when I watched TV, I couldn't understand what they were saying. So baby would bang and let me know what was happening on the TV. I know that some people would say to me, you're deaf, can you drive? And I would think, there's nothing wrong with my eyes, of course I can drive. I know the doctor said to me that I couldn't possibly have a baby, I couldn't get pregnant, and my question was, why? He also said that I couldn't drive a car, and that wasn't true either, because I'd driven to the doctor with baby. I had the pram and we would go for a walk. The doctor asked me where baby's father was, and I said that he was in Hamilton. He was very busy at that time working there, and so I was home with baby by myself. Aunties and uncles would visit and be quite surprised at how well I was doing by myself at home with baby, and I was perfectly fine. I was feeding and looking after baby. If someone did come to the door and I didn't know, Karina would grab my arm and pull on my sleeve, so I knew that there was someone at the door. With the signing and talking, not just Karina, our firstborn, but my other girls as well, would point at something and say, "What's that?" And then I could sign to them basics like bird or ball. I could say, "Where's your ball?" and you would go and pick it up. The same with book, a very simple sign. I could always say, "Where's the book?" and baby would go and pick it up. So that's how communication worked with our first and all our girls. So all 4 of our girls have grown up signing and watching me and using their hands to communicate. Yeah, it's worked really well. And there have been times also when I haven't been able to understand an auntie who's come to visit. So auntie would ask our firstborn Karina, who would then tell me what the question was. And then when I signed back the answer, she would pass that on. So even from a young age, she was interpreting for us. The same with when we were watching TV. Karina would ask what kind of news items were on about a car crash, and so I would teach the signs. And it really helped me because she could talk and also sign.
Now we have Ngā Waiata. She is a deaf mother talking about her life.
Hello, Nawaiata. Thanks for your time and coming here today. I would like to ask you, how many children do you have?
I have one daughter with my partner, but my partner has his own 2 children.
How old were you when your daughter was born?
I was 21, Alana.
Wow, that's young. She's hearing. Do you sign with her?
Yes, she knows how to kōrero Māori, she knows English and sign language.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time.
Let's have a recap of those important whānau signs.
Family. Mother. Father. Mum. Dad. Sister. Brother. Nana. Grandma. Papa. Auntie. Uncle. Cousin. Baby. Step. Half. Partner. Girlfriend. Boyfriend. My mother's name is Jill. You will meet her soon. My mother and father, they're separated. I have one sister and 2 brothers. My cousin is deaf, so she had an interpreter at her 21st birthday. I'm staying with my auntie and uncle this weekend. My girlfriend, she's pregnant. I'm so happy. I'm hoping for a baby boy. My grandmother is very old, so she doesn't drive anymore. I have a huge family, lots and lots of cousins. Many people want to know sign language so that they can communicate or teach their babies. There are a couple of Sign with Your Baby DVDs at Deaf Aotearoa if you want to have a look, or you could view them on their website. Another online resource is Northland Parents of Deaf Children's Oral History, which can be accessed on Alexander Turnbull Library website. It is free, just request access.
It's a fact that babies learn to sign before they can talk. Here is the simple website on topics to communicate with your child. www.nzslbabysign.nz. Click on Topics and you will see a list of signs you can use with your child. I'm picking the park. Here are videos to instruct us how to use our body language and sign. Click on Words under Vocabulary to see a specific sign. Practice these and then watch a conversation video on how it works in real life. Don't forget to check out NZSL Dictionary if you want a sign that isn't on this website. To request access for the Northern Parents of Deaf Children's Mothers and Deaf Daughters project, go to natlib.govt.nz, Collections, A to Z, Oral History and Sound.
As you saw today, deaf parents struggle just as hearing parents do. But we all want the same thing, to raise our children to the best of our ability.
There's no harm in asking for help and support. Family's important.
I hope today's episode has shown you how deaf parents manage. Also why they need our support as a community and a country to provide a bilingual environment for everyone by using sign language in preschools and schools.
Thank you for watching Sign High. See you next week. Kia ora.
Bye.